and welcome to the second OVA. Yay Anime!
Yay Anime!
It's just like the second one. It's like, what? Anime Club, duh. So this is a super special one because we are doing a full spoiler cast for School Live. So if you have not watched it or just don't care,
drop what you're doing.
Yeah, probably
go
don't.
watch it right now.
Yeah, go watch it right now. Stop listening. I love you, but go.
But then come back.
Yes, then come back.
Come back.
Especially because we have Alaina Yee back.
Yay! We're a full group again.
Notice you hear me on the microphone. Sorry. Hi, everybody. I was waving at the camera.
Yeah, so we brought her back as promised. And of course, joining me is Megan Sullivan,
I'm back.
Kelly Plaguey,
I've always been here.
and I'm
Not
Marina
really.
Sanchez. Yeah, I think I don't know if I said that. Anyway, it doesn't even matter because what matters is School Live.
Yes.
Which,
It's
Yes,
all about the
which was
schools.
not the disappointment that Gangster was.
oh my
No.
gosh.
No, it wasn't.
Talked about
Gangsta
that
sad.
last week. You can check that out on
We
IGN.com.
sure did. And we will definitely not be getting a second season because I guess Manglo went bankrupt, which kind of sucks.
But we're here to talk about School Live. So
Yeah,
Yes.
so let's keep it positive because School Live ended fantastically.
School Live's
Yes.
amazing.
So it's kind of hard to like know where to start just because like everything is just so good and so important.
I feel like we should start with it as a whole, right? And then we can dive into details.
Yeah, let's do that.
And I guess true to form, I have a slightly contrary opinion about that last episode. So I will say over the course of the show, I know if you go back into previous episodes when we were talking about School Live at the very beginning, I was kind of on the fence, right? Because
Right.
I didn't really do the whole moe thing. I felt like some of the wind got knocked out of that like punch, like those sails just kind of deflated for me because I knew that something was coming in that first episode. I knew there was some kind of major reveal. So I didn't take that as oh my God, this is amazing. So those middle episodes were finally what sold me. When I finally got the history of like Kay and, you know, what happened with all that in the mall, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
the story actually has some substance to it now. It's not just a really, really ganky girl running around this school while there are zombies outside. But I feel like that ending episode, while very sweet, wasn't as strong as I would have liked. I felt like they crammed a lot into the last two episodes that they could have done a little bit sooner.
So what's an example of something they could have probably done sooner or maybe fleshed out a little bit?
I feel like if you look back at the I guess a series, because I don't know if they're really going to do a second season, but if you look back at the series as a whole, I feel like this is a comment, like almost like an episode in Yuki's life, where she had a psychotic break or a mental break of some sort, and then she fixed it, or like her brain kind of fixed itself. And so you see that in the last two episodes where she realizes that she can't escape from reality anymore. She has to get her stuff together. But for that to happen in the last two episodes, I feel like just crammed in something super important, you know, in the development of this character or just, you know, her emotional life that I would have liked to see play out maybe at least 3 episodes, maybe even 4 episodes.
Yeah.
4 might be pushing it.
I think.
But 2 felt really tight.
Right. I think we talked about this either on the show or just around the office. Like I think that
On The Office for sure.
Yeah, I think the only big misstep for me was the kind of like bikini pool episode, because I do think that like they could have used that real estate for kind of developing that plot line, the important plot line that you're talking about, Alaina, and kind of they could have done the whole episode in like a scene. And
Right, like if
kind
you
of spent
didn't
that
need
time.
it dragged out for whatever references or whatever fun little things you wanted to do.
Yeah.
I mean, like I understand that they need a break mentally. Like it's very hard to
Yeah, but
cope with what's going on around
could
you.
take
But
a
at the same
half-hour
time,
break,
right?
and
You
that
don't
could be
need
2
an
minutes of the
entire
show.
day. Like I think one of the things is like they also wanted to clean their water supply kind of thing, which kind of
And
and the
then
fish,
it's a moot
all
point,
right?
'cause
Yeah, but
the
then
whole thing's just
yeah, it
wrecked,
doesn't even
so-
matter later. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I will
Well,
say
they didn't
this
know that
though.
was coming.
And
Yeah.
this sort of ties
yeah,
into
but to me, I'm like, okay.
this ties into what I was going to say is even the bathing suit thing was foreshadowed though, because they go to the mall and you see them try on the bathing suits,
Right.
and then it's like it's almost
I did like
foreshadowing
that detail.
that episode was coming, and it's like should have known, because this show is very deliberate with its foreshadowing.
That's a
like
good
if it's
point.
referenced at some point and it hasn't been resolved, it will be resolved.
Yeah, to its credit, it did kind of lay the foundation for that early on. It didn't just it wasn't like a last minute studio decision where they're like, you know what, we need bikinis.
Yeah,
They kinda-
exactly.
I really love that episode when we were at the mall, like
Yeah.
just
That
running
was so
around,
good.
trying things on, kind of having a little bit of fun. I mean, it felt better than like the pool episode, just because
Yeah.
it was a different kind of fun. And I mean, they're already out doing something and trying to achieve something that was important.
Yeah, and you have that. The fun is underscored by a constant sense of danger because they
Right.
are out in public. They could run into a zombie at any point, versus being on the roof. They're mostly safe until we find out that the rain brings them in, but you don't have that tension underlying it, so it felt a little more frivolous than
I
could see that
episode.
And even then there were like huge hints about like Megune. So like Yuki's walking around with that teddy bear and tries to give to Megune, and just conveniently enough she won't take no, it's yours, you take it. And it's I love those little hints along the way about Megune. Like from the very first episode, the show is really good at establishing, hey, this isn't really about cute little moe girls fighting zombies. There's a whole nother layer of really this is about having a psychotic breakdown and survival and how you cope.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on the Megune thing until like a lot later than other people did, but it's weird because I had read that spoiler when I was writing the episode review.
No.
That was the spoiler I read. I think I messaged you about it. Like when I was writing the review for the first episode, I just was looking at a character list so I would get their names right. And it was like Megune and blah, 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 and then she is a zombie. And I'm like, no. So I knew it was coming, but I just kind of like, I Yuki'd it. I just blocked it out. I was like, okay, I'm just not going to pay attention to this and just pretend that's not happening. So I actually didn't pick up on the hints until it was pointed out in the Facebook group, which is at facebook.com/group/IGN Anime Club.
Good job.
And people had started kind of not a spoiler thread, but a theory thread. Right. And I read that and I was like, oh yeah, so that spoiler I read, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I read the same spoiler, but I actually had a different reaction to it.
Really?
Which was when it didn't show that right away, I just thought they had taken a liberty with the anime that they hadn't done with the manga, which happens sometimes. Yeah. So I had just figured that maybe they had decided in this, version of, this adaptation that they were going to just not kill her or kill her later, or with gosh, I can't remember the name suddenly, with the dog.
Toromaru.
Thank you. I don't know why I can't remember. But same thing, because I read the same spoiler about his fate, and it didn't happen. So I just figured that they were going to do something different.
So to that point, I do want to talk about the manga a little bit. I did go ahead and buy all of it while I was in Japan.
I saw the picture.
Yeah, so it's like fun kind of like reading through and translating and seeing what's different. And I would like, before, like we'll talk about some other stuff, but to the point like that, it's so important. Like the manga is so important and it's actually super different. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
I think one of the best parts of like the beginning is like kind of going back to the hints. I was rewatching the first few episodes, and whenever they're chasing Toromaru around the class and like they're trying to find him, and there's that last classroom you go in before you see like the shift.
Yeah.
When Yuki tells like Mikun that they're in like the home ec class, so like like don't they're in class, like you can't just burst in here. And Yuki's face almost looks like she's like begging her to believe her, and it doesn't look like so much oh my god, we're gonna get in trouble. It's like please just say yes, because at that point like we're still like, or I guess Mikun's trying to believe into Yuki's stuff still. Like she's not completely convinced, that it's healthy for her.
And I love that there's always that hesitation. She's always the slowest to react to Yuki for several episodes because she's like, who are you talking to? She hadn't met Megune. She didn't know what was up with Yuki. And I think that's a really good point that Miranda makes. It's just like, it's not just, what are you ever talking about? There might be a little bit of I need you to play along.
Yeah, it's almost kind of reflecting from the last episodes to this first episode. It's almost like Yuki kind of part of her knows that she's just pretending.
Yeah.
So you do kind of get that sense that she is like, please believe me, just please, just play along because I need this. When she's begging Mikun to like, don't come in here, we're having class. That scene has a lot of interesting things. All the other students in that classroom are kind of silhouetted. They're like whited out. And then there's a point where if you pause, I had to pause to catch it actually, but the blackboard.
Oh, the blackboard.
The teacher will like move, and so the teacher's writing is in white chalk, and there's another set of writing in pink chalk that's like, help me, like, don't leave me, or something that's like a really creepy wording.
Yeah. Do you think that could actually be something written in Yuki's mind mentally, like by Megune? Because it's pink.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, a lot of things kind of revolve around her, of course, with pink hair and stuff.
Has a lot
kind of
the
purpley pink. Yeah. And, like, maybe Yuki's feeling a little guilt about that, too. Like, so whenever you see kind of, like, the darker side of things that just kind of get through, that's, like, her guilt. Because she was, of course, maybe most traumatized and like torn up about leaving Megane. I think she had the best connection with her out of all the girls.
I feel like this is very much Yuki's show. The whole story arc is really her coping because we noticed, we actually read this online about like even Yuki's school outfit is reflective of her sort of inverse personality.
Yeah, so if you're watching the video, you can see behind we have art and Yuki's
all duck.
Someone on the internet pointed out that Yuki's uniform, I mean, it is obviously different, but if you take the negative of Yuki, it's the same colors as the rest of the girls.
Yeah, but then the other girls are altered to like her colors because it's just a negative.
And I thought that was, so we talked about this like as a group and like independently. I had thought it was just fall and spring uniform differences, because sometimes that's the thing, like you'll see in anime like, the uniforms will change for the seasons, which I never went to a school that had uniforms, so I don't know, but so I was just like, oh, maybe she had to they couldn't find the right uniform for the season, so she's just wearing the like I didn't think anything.
I assumed it had something to do with her being an upperclassman or something.
Yeah, I had no idea, and the show is so deliberate, though.
But she's not the only senior in that group, though.
That's true.
Also, one thing that's important is we're never really given a time span for how long these girls have been on their own. And I think that's really important, too, because, you know, they're getting towards graduation, whereas it was kind of them first starting out. I think it's just kind of like a random thing, but also intentional that maybe they left it out to kind of push on, like, that these girls are a little bit more strong than they seem. Also, I almost forgot, going back to their uniforms, Mikun also has something different. Like, her ribbon is different, which is
probably because she's the underclassman.
Yeah. Like, she has a blue ribbon instead of a red one.
I think that's the sign of being an underclassman, though, because she's the only underclassman. Yeah. Also, why is she wearing garters, though?
Like, we never did resolve that.
Nothing was ever answered with regard to that. I can't speak. I'm sorry. I'm getting over cold, everybody. The congestion is just taking over my ability.
For those
who
are wondering, or who had forgotten, we're talking about the outing when it has those flashbacks of like Mikun and her best friend are trapped in the mall. And for some reason, Mikun is like, I'm just going to wear my garters. And I'm like, I don't know why that is.
Yeah, my only small defense was that maybe she's just cold and needs something to cover her legs. But they're also in a mall. I know they're scared to go out, but I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to defend that.
Yeah, like if I was in an apocalypse and I had the opportunity to go to a mall, you better believe I'd steal some clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Like
best
some
ones.
comfy, like some cargo pants. I'd get really like gung-ho about it.
Right.
Cool.
So
I think I would just ditch the garter belt. I probably would wear the stockings and then like try to tie them off so I wouldn't have to deal with the belt.
Right?
But
you got it's about those combat boots so the zombies can't bite feet.
Yeah. I think the thing that would bother me the most is like if I got a tear in my pantyhose, I'd be like, well, it's all over.
Yeah, why
done.
aren't there runs in her tights? It's been so long. But anyway,
she's just a master. She's got this.
Anime. So
the important things.
But I think the thing that when we saw the uniform negatives thing on the internet, that made me realize, I mean, I'd realized it before, but that really drove home how deliberate everything in this show is. Like, they thought of even that. Yeah. How do we set her apart even more? Make it apparent that she is kind of living in a parallel universe almost. Right. Of her own creation. So
it's really good.
It made me realize how brilliant all the direction of the show was.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, all I was going to say is one of the things I like about Yuki is that, like, how the first and last episode come full circle with her, where the monologue at the beginning, I love school, and I love my friends. And then, you know, like half the episode, she's going to get her friends killed. And then at the end, she's the one who saves them. And she gives the same speech, but she gives it to the zombies. She's figured it out. They love school, too. They really do.
Yeah, so
broke me.
Yeah, so one thing I do want to point out is like how smart they are with making this like a zombie show, because it's been done so many times, right?
Yeah.
And the way they make theirs different is that they still remember, which is brilliant. Because I'm sure someone's done it before, but they do it in such a really great way that is just so painful.
It makes sense, you know, where it's like at that point, it's almost like a base instinct. Like their previous memories become base instinct, right? So that's what Yuki finally figures out, that they're coming to school because it's wired in them that it's a school day, I should be at school. So if I tell them the school day is over, they'll go away.
Yeah, and I think this kind of started around their summer break too, so that kind of explains why there weren't as many kids there. So makes some people, I guess, go for the summer or whatever, they're doing their thing.
Right.
And then the rest of them, like, of course, towards the end, were just there. Like, there's time to come back to school, and, you know, that's when things went to poo.
Which went to poo.
Right. I also
it went to heck.
I think that another thing that is very hard hitting about the fact that the zombies remember is when they have to put a zombie down, because that's like the last vestiges of a person.
Right.
And so I'm just looking at the episode list and I realized something cool. Episode 2 is called Memories. Okay, number 1. And Kurumi actually runs into her crush's girlfriend, who's a zombie, and that's indicated by, I think it's her phone or something, like a notebook has a sticker or something with a photo of her and him together, and she has to kill that zombie, and so it's like memories. The zombie has memories, but then also she has these memories, and I don't know.
It's so deep. It's so deep. There's just all these little details with regard to the zombies in general that I actually really loved. I'm not a huge zombie genre person.
Yeah.
But I actually really liked that in the beginning, and for most of the show, the zombies are never shown in detail. Like you see this like weird like black like aura around them, but it obliterates most of the details.
Right.
But at the very end, when Yuki reclaims her sense of sanity, you suddenly see them in detail.
I think it's definitely a good reflection of their mental state. Like when Kurumi's out, fighting, like she just kind of goes in this different world where she has to like think of them as just pure monsters, because that's hard, right? Like you don't want to kill your classmates. And another part is that they never really touch on it, and I think maybe this could be something they do later in the manga. It's just like you're killing all these people and they still retain their memories. Like what if they could have like survived? Like what if there was a cure? Because obviously they help Kurumi towards the end. Like she gets to live and not be turned into a zombie. But like what if Megane could have been okay? And Megane, we noticed that she was trying to claw into the medicine, right? So I was wondering, did she? Well, I guess maybe it has to be right then. So maybe she wanted to save Kurumi, right? Yeah. But I also thought, what if she had done that previously when she had just been attacked and she was trying? She's down there because she was trying to get herself medicine so she'd be okay, and didn't make it in time.
She only had so much time, as we unfortunately find out.
They don't like. It's so brilliant because I think it's episode 3 at that time is when Megane is sitting there at her desk, writing her last words, like these are my last words, like this is the last thing. So obviously she had to sit there and wait for herself to turn and like just like I hope they're okay.
Yeah, and they touch back on that in episode 8 at the very beginning. You see her notebook and she's like, I'm so sorry everyone, I hope you're okay, I'm hungry. And then it turns into garble, and it's just that's so powerful because it proves she remembers and she's waiting, and it's too much.
It has their names.
It has their names.
And it's interesting because the zombies don't.
Oh, sorry. Keep going. I will jump in after you.
I was just going to say, just on the topic of the zombie details and stuff, is I do watch a lot of zombie stuff, and I noticed how little damage there was to these zombies. So, like, in other zombie things, like, a lot of the zombies had been previously, like, they died being eaten by other zombies, and so, like, they're, like, shambling around, they're, like, missing limbs and stuff. All these and obviously, like, they're not going to do, like, super gory stuff, but it doesn't seem like these zombies are, like, all about eating people. They're just kind of, like, it's about spreading the infection, and we did learn that it was a
biological weapon.
About spreading the disease rather than just, like, killing everyone.
Quickly and curiously to that point, we did see someone being eaten.
We did.
And like it was, I think it was like 11 or 12. When Yuki's running through the hallway, she sees them eating somebody else. Like it had to be a zombie.
Yeah.
Like it had to be another zombie. Like I don't know what else they would be.
Yeah, that was weird. You don't see a lot of that. There may be like 2 scenes where they were eating. So I don't know. It was weird.
I feel it ties in more to just the fact that Yuki was blocking out a lot of stuff beforehand.
Oh, true.
I don't. That's again though. That's why I kind of feel like a lot got crammed into those last 2 episodes where I don't feel like it was executed perfectly. So that's why we are commenting on it. But I do think that was deliberate, that before you didn't really see much details about the zombies or what they were doing, and I think that's a reflection of Yuki's own mind blocking those details out because she doesn't want to bring them in.
Right, rather than seeing like the gruesome details of someone's face, you see like kind of the aura instead, and that's kind of that, like you said, that's a reflection of her, not the zombies themselves.
Yeah,
obviously they would turn into auras,
doubly effective because you see these cute little moe girls, and then you just see these shadows and zombies, and they're very mysterious until the end, where you really get a sense of just how gruesome and sort of scary they are.
So zeroing in on the end, I'm happy everybody made it out, but at the same time, I feel like it almost felt too easy in a way. It was a nice ending. Like I am happy with it. I am happy, and hopefully that we get another season because they do leave with the cliffhanger, like that one girl just finding their
glasses, their photo,
the glasses girl, like finding their stuff in the trash, and like that's really interesting. It's like it's obviously deliberate. Like we said, they do not do anything just because it's for fun. You know, it's like, this is a thing. It's important. But one thing I didn't really like about the end was the dog. Like there was another dog in the basement. Like that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
like
that was a little weird.
Well, they threw that in randomly,
Yeah, that was-
and then they just dropped it.
kinda. So
Kinda.
maybe.
So,
But even then, so like they're looking through all the stuff and they're like, oh, there's these little bite marks. What is it? It's like, it's a rat, whatever. But
Yeah,
no,
so-
they're like, well, maybe it's a dog that Taromaru was trying to find.
it was like this really weird slapdash explanation for why Taromaru would even be down there. And I'm
Well,
like,
Yeah, and I assumed he had just picked up Megune's scent or
And
something.
that's the thing
Yeah.
too. I almost wonder if that was
But-
their way of trying to have the girls theorize about why he was down there,
Yeah.
not putting two and two together. But we, being privileged at to see like the entire world, we would assume that it has to do with Megune.
Right. I mean, but like even with Taromaru, he didn't know Megune.
he didn't
he
know
never
Megane,
knew her.
And the
That's
scene,
true. That's a very good point. I didn't think of that.
So one thing
Well,
I thought of when the scene where I think it is the bikini episode when he goes down to the basement at the end. You hear like whimpering, and the zombies don't make that noise. And so I had just thought it
right.
was Megune whimpering, but it did sound like another dog. So I thought that was kind of weird, and I was like, why would there be another dog down there? And
Yeah,
how would it
that's
have
the one
survived
thing.
for? So I don't know. It's weird because I don't think anything they do is just kind of like thrown in. I think if they're going to say something, if they're going to have the girls say something, it's going to be deliberate for whatever reason. I just don't think we ever got that reason.
So yes, so at the very end, you see, or I guess during the credits thing, like the song's going, you see the cross where they have for Megane and the cross for Taromaru, but you see that they bury Taromaru with Yuki's hat.
Yeah.
But the hat's been pulled out, and that there's like the silhouette or the shadow of a dog, and then kind of see a little bit of it in its fur, and it kind of looks like Taromaru. So it's like,
but it was
what
like
if he's alive?
Not the right color.
But yeah, but it wasn't the right
Yeah.
color. So
And I don't think it was like
Fair.
zombie dog changes color because that's not how fur works. So
it's anime though.
you never
it is
know.
anime.
So
but
yeah, there's possibilities that Taromaru might be alive, but also if it's the other dog, then why would it dig up Yuki's hat? Like that just doesn't make sense. He doesn't know Yuki. It doesn't know Yuki. Like maybe it was trying to dig up Taromaru and they just wanted to pull it out to be cool
Yeah,
effect.
it's a little
I don't.
strange. I'd
Taromaru's-
forgotten that detail though. That's a
Yeah.
really great
Taromaru's
recollection.
blood is on the hat though, isn't it? The hat was bloody.
Yeah, maybe.
But still, that's not a good enough. I don't
And
know.
they mentioned another dog, so obviously that was deliberate too. Where it's like now you've
That
got two
seems
dogs that
so
happen to look
weird.
alike.
That was like my one big question mark at the end. Was like dog.
Also, just don't get attached to dogs.
Don't get attached to dogs. So
Yeah, that's the brutal lesson
So
we learned.
Miranda and I were on Beyond today, and
Almost start
one of the
crying.
topics was what anime made you cry, and Miranda was just like tearing up because we were like, I was talking about how I cried at my desk about anime, and then she realized it was about School Live, and then she started tearing up, then I started tearing up,
like, no.
and then Marty and Andrew were like, so
That was a D move when there's like you think that they're gonna save Taromaru because they saved Kurumi. No, it's too late.
I kind of liked that it wasn't a perfect happy
no,
ending.
I
but-
like that too, but I still was just like, ow.
I was so relieved, and then it was like, nope, he dead, and then I was just cried, like,
dead.
just cried.
And that's the part that got me. Like, yeah, when they had him back, like it's just that little happy moment. And then I was like, it's fine. Like I understand he had to get turned into a zombie, whatever. It's all right. And I was like,
no.
He does that.
he's in the lap. He's in her lap.
He does that little, like, he kind of, like, smiles at her. He looks up and she's like, oh, God. And the thing
you can
about
rock me.
Taromaru is, like, he saved Yuki while he was still in zombie mode.
Yeah, like he remembered.
He,
Not Mikun. Mikun's like, get out of here.
yeah, he
But
finally
that
had,
was accurate to how his feelings were about
Yeah.
Mikun.
he
Yeah.
finally had his, like, last moment with Mikun in the previous episode, or the beach episode.
Yeah.
I keep calling it the beach episode because that's like the trope, but they weren't at the beach. I don't know
Yeah.
why I keep saying that. The pool episode, the water tank. So we did get that final moment of he's like, okay, finally I don't hate you anymore. But he did like Kay, and I want to talk about Kay for a second because at the very end,
Oh, the very
yeah.
ending.
they're driving away, and Kay is just
She's shambling towards
alone,
the school.
walking, and then Mikun had that whole like soliloquy about like, is this how I die alone in one room? Like, I'm sorry, Kay. And I was like, oh God, my
Yeah.
heart.
And she
like,
left a message for Kay on the blackboard,
She's
which
like,
is
I
I lived.
I lived.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too much.
Oh God, I'm
no.
gonna cry.
Here we go.
Bye, Kay. You died. you got bit.
If she had just been patient.
Yeah, it's like learn the lesson. No.
But you could argue also that if she hadn't taken the initiative, that she may not have served as the right inspiration for Mikun to actually, say to herself, okay, I probably should break out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's like maybe your actions did save Mikun in a way, which is even more painful too. It's like you ended up being kind of a sacrifice, like your kind of almost rash courage was able to get Mikun going and get her safe.
So one other little tidbit, like fun fact, in the end when they're in the car and they're driving away, if you
This is so
pause when they're looking back at Yuki, it's very light, it's hard to see, but in her reflection in the car window, you can kind of see Megune's outline.
It doesn't look like Yuki. It looks like
like her hair is like totally wrong.
Thank you, Reddit.
Yeah, thank you, Reddit. And I was just like, oh,
she's
always there. She's always
Oh
there.
my gosh.
It's so sad.
And the whole through line with Megune too is really good. Like from the moment you see that cross to all the hints along the way to like the resolve that like she really is a part of Yuki. Like that's a real thing. So too many feels.
I also think it was fitting that Mikun took out Megune.
Well, it made
bye.
sense.
Well, it
She
made
had no
most
emotional
sense.
attachment
Yeah, bye,
to her.
Felicia.
She's the one who would bye Felicia. Yeah, she's the one who had the least attachment, so it was the easiest to do.
I do want to say, though, just randomly, because it's popping into my head, like one detail that bugged me, sort of related to the whole going down there to get the medicine thing. What is the amount of time needed to turn, right? Because I feel like Kurumi was just screaming in agony for hours, days. And I was just wondering when I just felt like they drew that out a little too much because, I mean, and the only thing you saw was just that arm, vein thing, right? Like, I would feel like if she was turning, you would see more spreading.
Right.
And that didn't happen. So I don't know if they meant to imply that she has a natural immunity to a degree that slowed it, or it just is a process that takes a while,
So
or what?
That was interesting because when we get the flashback for when Kurumi's upperclassman crush, when they bring him up the roof, he's been bitten.
Yeah.
He turns pretty quickly.
Exactly.
Because presumably he was bit. She brought him up to the roof. Maybe it took 20 minutes. Maybe.
Yeah.
And then he turns really quickly. Whereas it felt like when she was kind of writhing in agony. It was like that for a really long time.
Really
she's
long time.
She's still screaming, guys.
Yeah.
And so in lots of others, zombie stuff is super not. No one's decided how long they want it to be. For in
Right.
World War Z, it takes 15 seconds. In The Walking Dead, it's it's different for everybody. So it might be one of those situations where it just depends on your immune system and
Which is fine.
how severe the bite was. But I was
But they should establish it in the world.
Right.
If it's going to be a plot point, you know what I mean?
it's gonna be because you need to know okay, I got 20 minutes left. Somebody go get the medicine because that's
Right.
the end. She's gonna die. And it's not clear if they die if their heart stops first and then they are reanimated, which happens sometimes. That's how it is in The Walking Dead, or if they just
Or cannibals, full crazy, you know.
just go rabies, and don't die first.
They're actually not dead, they're just sick.
That was never made clear, and I think part of that is because Yuki is so blind to everything. That
Possibly.
you don't get as many details about maybe how the zombies function.
Possibly.
Maybe.
But speaking to that same point, when we were talking earlier about Megune writing her final letter, it's if you know about the medicine, it's the whole monologuing before you dispatch the hero. Why don't you go get the medicine first and then write your final letter?
Yeah, that
It could have also been
weird.
that it took too much time for her to get there because they have to be newly infected. Because her medicine isn't for a cure-all kind of thing. What if she was stuck and pinned in that point by the door for a really long time? Because she
Yeah.
was being attacked. She wasn't free to run.
She was being mobbed.
Yeah,
it wasn't
and
just one. So in Kurumi's case, she was bitten just by Megune, and then
she got to get out.
and then she
moved
got
away
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And
Whereas
so
Megune's there were at least 6 on her or something.
Yeah,
in that
so
flashback
she-
scene we get.
yeah, maybe it took too much time for her to get there, and by the time she got there, it was already too late, and she's using her last will to write.
But then
something.
again, we have no idea how long is too long.
Yeah.
Right.
And so the interesting thing is all of the teachers presumably got this emergency handbook where they're don't open unless it's an emergency, which is not how you should do emergency preparedness, by the way.
We're not going to tell you what the
We're not
emergency
gonna-
might be. We're going to surprise you.
While the earth is crashing down around you, read this manual. It's not how you do it. But so she didn't know everything. Like so she had to have gotten the manual, found out where the medicine was. So she had to do all these steps also. Whereas the girls had less urgent time, like they knew about the medicine before, and then.
Well, she
So I
may
don't
have
know.
read it though when the initial outbreak happened, because there
True.
seemed like there was a period
Right, because
between.
the girls do
Yeah.
have her keys. So Megan did not have access to it after she was bitten.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah, so
Yeah.
she didn't have her key with her. Maybe that's... Did Mikun take the key down to open the medicine? I wasn't clear on
No,
that.
I think
no.
the key was to that like little
It was
safe
just a
box.
safe.
thing.
Yeah,
So,
that had the.
yeah, so it's... I'm not super clear on why... You know what? If you know why...
Yeah, call to
Megan
action.
Yeah, if you have a theory,
If you
let
have
us
a
know.
theory, I would love to hear it, because as we're talking about this, I am suddenly like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know they were looking around, and that's how they found the key on the
Yeah,
the
but that
top
key
shelf or
opened
whatever.
the box to the
emergency
emergency
kit.
manual.
Yeah.
The medicine... I wouldn't put important medicine behind a lock.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
I mean...
I mean, if you need to save it
No,
for
it's a good idea if like people are addicted
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say if
It's not a good idea if it's like you're dying, time to inject yourself with this antidote. Like that
Yeah.
should be easy to get to.
Undo this
So-
puzzle.
right.
Yeah. So and it's also like one of the questions is who did the biological weapon? Like why is
So-
there a biological weapon? I
so-
don't really want the explanation, but that's just one of the
I
things
think that's
I'm
something we could
wondering.
maybe get, like, if we got a second season. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, they're going to go to adult life. They get to go to college or job.
They
Where do you want to go
graduated.
after high school?
Yeah.
So it's really funny.
That was cute, yeah.
I really hope we get another season, like, maybe in a year or something. Like, sometimes it takes that long. But if they do it sooner, that'd be awesome. I mean, I think it's selling well. I know the sales went crazy
selling well.
after the anime
They're
started.
having a big expo in Tokyo too.
So, yeah. So hopefully we do
Just
some more.
for this one series.
But,
Nice.
I mean, where do you? My question is, where do you go? Because I feel like, for me at least, what made this series so great is that it wasn't really about zombie survival for me. It was all about Yuki's transition from fantasy to reality. I thought that was the thing that I loved the most about it. So I'm like, now that she has her sense of reality, where do the girls go from
I
here?
think you see them explore more of the outbreak and like what happened, and exploring more about the zombies themselves and
Right.
how they remember things, and maybe if they actually are alive, and if there is a way to cure them and that kind of thing.
I don't know.
So
I'm just afraid that the
different
the-
psychological things.
yeah, the drive will be gone because it was very personal, and now I don't want it to become super general.
I could
Right.
see it working just because if you look at this first, maybe if we get a second season, if you look at say the first season, quote unquote, as Yuki's transition from healing, from a mental break to regrasping reality, then you can look at the second season as maybe like how she's able to cope in a world that asks her to be more of a grown-up, really.
Yeah.
To see how her character develops and how the
Yeah.
other girls develop as well. Which
See
would
how
be
her-
interesting to follow.
Right. See how her coping mechanisms develop too. 'Cause she's realized that, trying to be happy all the time is not the solution.
Yeah, and like maybe she has to be a little more independent too. Like she can't always rely on her friends.
Yeah. So and obviously because you're still when you're still learning how to heal or like how to be healthy, especially with like mental stuff, like you are going to stumble. Like there are going to be missteps. There's still potential there for like maybe she kind of falls back into old patterns, or maybe she has a relapse. So I think there's still potential for more.
I mean, I'd be interested in a second scene. I'm just curious to know
What they would do.
what they do.
yeah.
So, if you guys haven't already, or if you haven't researched it, the manga is actually coming out in English by Yen Press. They're publishing it
perfect.
in November. So next
wow,
month.
right around the corner.
Yeah, so the first volume comes out then. There are 6 volumes out currently in Japan. I highly recommend you read them. They are different. Like I think it's around volume 3 when the big change started, and you'll notice changes like right off the bat. Like I don't want to get spoilery into that if you don't want that. I mean, it's pretty. Starting, it is pretty much the same story. Like there are a lot of same patterns, but like I said, volume 3 are things when change like massively. So,
So it
absolutely
does
check that out.
diverge a little bit.
Yeah, like
Okay.
they are. It is worth checking out both of them.
Okay.
Like I think if you like the universe, if you like the story, there are character differences, like subtle things that just make things a lot darker. I think in the manga than just the
Interesting.
anime. So yeah, so absolutely check it out. Anything else before we send this?
There's
OVA
a
off?
Yuki figure that
Oh, yeah.
just got announced, which looks really good in the front. It's a little bit etchy in the back, but
like
so business.
like
the
you know,
business in the
like
front,
most
party in the back.
like most figures.
Like
I
most
mean.
figurines.
like Satsuki.
Satsuki's good.
Yes, it is kind of a Satsuki-esque. It's like Yuki's
Got the skirt.
Skirt is a
Jumping
little
up.
short, but it actually looks like a good quality figure.
Yeah, absolutely. For like
So-
$100, it should be good.
Yeah, I was gonna say it should be for that
I
price.
want a
but-
Taromaru plush.
Ooh,
Or
yes.
that mustache bear because I saw that in the Crunchyroll had like a feature on the expo that they're having in Tokyo right now, and it had pictures from the expo, and one of the things was a Mustache Bear plush, and I was like,
yes,
Miranda, go back.
We need it. I'm bye, guys.
Send yourself a D-mail.
Stay longer.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Please send us your thoughts on School Live. We'd love to read them.
More theories.
Yes, more theories. You can send those to IGN_Anime Club at IGN.com. That is our email. You can, of course, talk to us in the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/IGN Anime Club.
Yes.
And where can we find you all, ladies, on the interwebs?
I'll start. I am Inky Dojiko on Twitter. That's INKYDOJIKKO.
You didn't do your martial arts blocks.
That's for next.
Oh, that's
full
your
episode.
next full episode. Okay, that was a sneak peek. I am Megan, MEGHAN_IGN.
I am at Morphing Ball on Twitter.
And I'm at Havoc Rose, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay!